This is 8.2 part 2, and we stopped off at this question which said to use a calculator to approximate each expression in radians rounded to 2 decimal places. So first of all, let's talk about this. On your calculator, you will see an inverse sine button, an inverse cosine button, and an inverse tangent button. But what you won't see is inverse secant, inverse cosecant, and inverse cotangent. So to deal with these functions, we have to use the fact that secant is a reciprocal function of cosine, cosecant is a reciprocal function of sine, and cotangent is the reciprocal function of tangent. So for instance, for part A, to find this using a calculator, the reciprocal function secant goes along with cosine. So what I can do is take my value of 3 and write it out as 3 over 1 and flip it over. So if I flip it over, then on the calculator I can use the reciprocal function of looking up inverse cosine. So this is how I would enter this in the calculator. Make sure the mode is in radians. You want to do that first. So let's see what happens when we do this. So if I go to the calculator, let me find it. Once again, I'm looking up inverse sine, and I got a peek at that again. We're looking up inverse cosine of 1/3. So inverse cosine, so I do secant, and I hit the cosine button, and I do 1 divided by 3. And I see my answer is 70.53, but I want to check to make sure my mode is not in radians, so that was the degree value. So let me go ahead and hit enter here and then quit, and let me try that again. So if I enter 1/3, I get 1.23. So like I said, be careful and make sure your mode is in radians. It says round to 2 decimal places, so yeah, 1.23 will do the trick. Okay, so let's look up the next one. We have cosecant inverse of -4. Once again, I don't have a button on my calculator. It looks like that. So first steps first, make sure your mode is in radians. And then we're going to use the reciprocal function. So the reciprocal function of cosecant is sine. So I'm actually looking for sine inverse sine of -1/4. So let's do that. Inverse sine of -1/4. And let me fix that. Okay, I got -0.25, and that's rounded to 2 decimal places. So -0.25. And then if we do part C, it's asking us for inverse cotangent of 1/2. And once again, I don't have a button that will allow me to do this, but I do have the reciprocal function of tangent. So if I flip over 1/2, I get 2. So let's go ahead and find the inverse tangent of 2. And the answer is 1.11, and that's rounding to 2 decimal places. So 1.11. And finally, for part D, we're asked to find inverse cotangent again, but of -2. So once again, I'm going to use a reciprocal function tangent, and I'm going to flip over -2 over 1 to get -1 over 2. I'm going to plug this in. And I get -0.46. If you can hear my dog, I'm not sure if you can hear or not, she's growling at a toy. So Anyways, that will conclude 8.2. Thanks for watching, and go ahead and upload your fill in the blank notes.